Hey there, it's Michael with Drainer Technologies. I hope you're having a fantastic day. If you want to learn more about our company or hire us for a project, head on over to drainertech.com for more information. Today we're going to talk about 3CX web conferencing. Now, many folks that we work with are simply looking for a basic telephone system to replace their outdated analog or very costly commercial voice over IP system that they already have. And if you've talked to us in the past, you know that our 3CX offering at Drainer Tech is one of the most affordable, feature-rich, enterprise-ready solutions on the market today. But some folks don't realize that they have a complete, comprehensive web conferencing and web meeting platform that's part of their 3CX system. It comes at no extra cost. This is something that is readily available to you depending on your license level. The only limitation is the number of participants that can participate in a meeting. So today I wanted to go through the web meeting and web conferencing capabilities of 3CX and show you how to utilize those features. If you have an extension on your organization's 3CX phone system, you have access to this capability. So if you don't know how to access that, talk to your administrator or send us an email here at help@drainertechnologies.com. All right, so let's dig right in. First thing, you need to access the web client. And as I said, if you don't know how to do that, contact your administrator or contact us. So I've already logged into our demo web client here. And we could see the usual things, the people, contacts, chat, call history, voicemail, all this kind of stuff. This is a point that is somewhat confusing for many people. We have schedule a conference and we have web meeting. I'm going to tell you at this point in time, don't use the web meeting. It works just fine, but it's really redundant to scheduling a conference. The difference is that web meeting is impromptu and it takes a little extra work to get people into your conference. And you'll see here in just a moment, it's really just as easy to schedule the meeting, send out the invitation, even if it's just 5 minutes from now. So we're going to go into schedule a conference. And you'll see I've got a couple of things already scheduled here. We'll talk about those here in just a moment. But let's see how to start a new meeting. So first thing we're going to do is click the plus sign right here. And we're presented with new conference, and we have to choose the type of meeting we want to have. Is it audio only, or is it audio and video? 90% of the time, I'm going to recommend audio and video. The reason for this is that if it's audio only, that's traditional phone calls, which there's nothing wrong with. But depending on your license level with your phone system, those audio calls do count against your call license. And that's not a problem if you have plenty of call licenses available. However, many folks have really just what they need on a daily basis with a little bit of overage. So you could run into a situation where you're tying up all the inbound lines and inbound people calling into your company can't get in. So we just want to make sure that you know what those limitations are. So if you're going to use a lot of audio only, then get in touch with us and we can kind of coach you through that and make sure you've got what you need to be successful. So like I said, I want to focus on the video piece today because this is really where the majority of collaboration and conferences are going. It's not necessarily I want to see you on the other side of the call, but I have information I want to share with you on the other side. So we're going to select video, and now we need to determine when this conference is going to occur. Is it going to be now or later? If we choose later, we set a date and time and a duration for that conference, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever we want it to be. For sake of brevity, we're going to go ahead and do this conference now. We're going to give it a meaningful title that says Web Meeting Education Conference. And web meeting actually is 2 words. So we'll fix that up here. Notes to participants. This can be whatever you want to put in. It could be instructions. It could be prerequisites. You could tell people to be ready to discuss certain items. A lot of times I use this as a means of agenda to give point 1, point 2, point 3. Here's the topics that we're going to discuss. And this will be relayed via the invite email to the participants. we need to select a profile. There's two profiles available. One is a web meeting, and that is several of us getting together. We're going to have a collaborative time. We're going to talk to one another. I'm going to speak. You're going to speak. We're going to share information back and forth, and it's a meeting. And a meeting is designed to be bi-directional. It is an exchange of information in multi-directions. When we talk about the other profile, webinar, we're not going to go deep on webinar, but that's exactly what it is. It's a webinar. It's a classroom of sorts in the virtual sense, in that I'm a presenter and I'm going to present to you, the participants, and you're not going to come back and talk to me. I'm not going to see you. I'm not going to hear you. I'm going to present information much like I'm doing today. This would be considered a webinar format. Those participants have the ability to chat back and forth with you, but by and large, it is a asynchronous presentation, a one-to-many presentation. So for our demonstration today, we're going to use web meeting. The next thing we need to select is how we want to send the invitations. Your 3CX phone system has the ability to send the invite all on its own using its internal email server or email client. And then you would add your participants down below here. So let's add Elizabeth to this meeting, and let's add Mark to this meeting. And I've got an outsider. Let's add Sam, add Sam Smith. Wow, I cannot type today. samsmith.com. So he's an outsider. And I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but you can have both inside and outside resources participate. In my particular case, I have a license that supports up to 250 participants. You can import a Excel CSV file if you would like to do that. You can also use your own calendar app to send this welcome email, and then you can customize the body of it if you like, or use a distribution list that maybe you already have configured in your email app. So whether it's Gmail or Office 365, if you're using Outlook or Apple iCal for your calendaring, all of those can be utilized to send this conference. For simplicity, for small web meetings, I typically just use the 3CX direct mail. And I'll add my participants because usually I don't have more than 3 or 4 people in a collaborative fashion. And the reason for that is it can get pretty congested really fast. If I need to talk to more than 3 or 4 people, I'll typically do a webinar type presentation to them, or I'll break it out into multiple meetings so we can have more meaningful conversations. But that's just my practice that I like to fall by. So you do have to have a minimum of 1 email address in here to conduct the web meeting. So I'm just going to go ahead and add my info address. Info Engineering Technologies. Okay, so we've got our participants in. We've set up the type of conference, when it's going to occur, given it a subject and some notes. We've determined it's a web meeting, and we're going to send that from our internal email server, and we've added a participant. So the next step is really simple. Create a meeting. So now this adds us to my queue, and this meeting occurs at 10:25 p.m. on February 12th. That would be today, and that would be right now. If I were dialing in by phone, I could dial this phone number or this extension if I'm on the internal telephone system, the internal 3CX system, and I want to be able to participate. I could just dial that extension to join. All of the invitees would receive an email in their calendar or calendar invite with this link in it, and all they have to do is click this link to launch the conference. So that's what we're going to do today. Now, I will probably receive an error here because I'm using the webcam to record this training session. So it's not going to let me do online video, but you'll get the gist of what's going on here. So this is the 3CX web conferencing interface. Quick overview, this is our toolbar up here at the top, and basically control bar. It allows us to activate and deactivate our webcam, to mute and unmute. This is all for my audio as the presenter, and you as the participants would have this same control. If I want to record the meeting, just hit the record button there. To screen share, I pick what do I want to share. I can share my entire screen. I have 2 screens here, so it's letting me choose what I would like to share. the application window if I've got a specific application, or if I've got a web browser tab open that I would like to share. So for instance, if I wanted to share just my web page, for instance, I would be now sharing that web page with the remote participants, and you can see that that's what I'm sending down here to those participants. And if I go over here and scroll, we would see that same scrolling happening over here. I would just present as normal. I can see here that I'm sharing it, and when I'm done, I just hit stop, go back to my other tab, and they would see me on the webcam. This little paperclip allows me to upload PDF files that I may want to share with the group, and I would do that before the conference started to make sure that those are available when people join the meeting. We've got a nice little whiteboard capability with either just a blank white background or a dotted grid background. So we can annotate and make notes or little sketches or drawings. For instance, maybe I want to do a call flow with you. So I've got a digital receptionist here, and I've got inbound callers coming in. That digital receptionist is going to have option 1, sales, and option 2, service. So we could collaborate and, sketch out some things if we wanted to. There's a number of different possibilities. You can run your imagination wild on how you could utilize the whiteboard. And then this is a really cool feature. This is a polling feature. So really helpful in the webinar setting, but can be beneficial as well in the web meeting setting as well. So I already have one that I created here called Satisfaction. And once you build your repository, these polls stay here until you delete them. So I've got a satisfaction survey that I created that I'm going to submit out to the group, and anybody who was participating, I would see them over here. They would see this poll, and they would have the option to select yes, no, or I don't know, or I don't care. And I would see those results here as the moderator or as the presenter. I would see those results in real time. I could choose to look at those anonymously. I don't want to know who said what, or I can choose to see who voted what. It's really your option. So, this is really great if you're talking about maybe you're having a board meeting and you want to vote on a particular item. In this particular case, I want to know if people were satisfied, if they liked the presentation or not. And that gives me a little piece of feedback that I can go back and analyze it and say, yeah, I needed to improve in a particular area or not. You could set the duration of the polling whenever you create these events. So this one's set for like 5 minutes. Typically, you would do a much shorter than that. But anyway, it's a really cool feature that allows you to get feedback from people without necessarily having them say yay, nay, raise their hands. They can kind of discreetly issue their poll. Inside the poll here, if you want to create something new, you just create it and say Proposition B. I want this to go for 60 seconds. And should we adopt? Prop B, yes, yay, or nay. And then we save that, and now we've got our Prop B poll that we can send out to the group whenever we decide to do that. So that's our control area. That's what allows us to navigate the conference, to control the conference, and to interact with folks on the other end. Over here, we've got our attendee list. Anybody who joins the meeting would show up here. And there's different icons that pop up that show us if they're an organizer, if they're a presenter, if they have a question, they can raise their hand down here and raise their hand and say, hey, I've got a question. I wish to speak. We've got our chat area that allows us to interact back and forth and have a two-way chat or multi-way chat with all the participants to see kind of sidebar conversations, questions they may have. You can allow them to submit questions. Hey, I've got a question. And then I could respond to that without necessarily having them speak. And it just helps the meeting flow on. If you've attended other types of web meetings, this is something that you would be familiar with, and you can see this is very similar to those capabilities. Up here, we have the ability to add people impromptu. So I can add a participant, give them a name and email address, and hit add. And when I hit OK, it's going to send a meeting invite to them with the meeting URL. I can also just copy that link and either text it or instant message it or email it to somebody directly. We can do that through my own web client or email client. And then settings is really what microphone is being used, what video device. Right now it says none because I'm using the webcam now to talk to you. And then we can test that. So all really great tools. And the beautiful thing about this is it's platform agnostic. So that means it works on Mac, Linux, PC. It really doesn't care because it just needs a compliant web browser. And those browsers that are supported right now are Google Chrome and Mozilla Firefox. Those two browsers are both capable of carrying out these meetings and conducting them. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell. When you conclude the meeting, you're just going to say leave the meeting. And the question is, do you want to leave or do you want to end it? Now, this is a very important differentiator because if you're the organizer of the meeting and you leave the meeting, the participants that are in the meeting are still going to be able to continue without you. That's a very common thing that we see. But if you end the meeting, you're going to boot them all from the meeting and they're going to get cut off and they won't be able to rejoin. So you do need to make sure you use the right choice here. So we're going to end this meeting. If I had recording going, then I'll receive an email here very shortly with a link to download that recording. Those recordings are valid for 7 days only. And after 7 days, they will be deleted from the system. So make sure you download those, archive them, send that link out, let people download it if you're going to do that. Let them participate in that recording as well. That's it on 3CX Web Meetings. Thank you so much for joining me today. Like I said at the beginning, if you want more information on Drainer Technologies, head on over to drainertech.com and we'll be able to connect with, you'll be able to connect with us there and we can see how we can help you communicate better, more efficiently, more effectively, and more affordably using DTI and 3CX. Have a great day.